Most people over the age of 60 are terrified of cancer, dementia, and chronic inflammation. But almost nobody realizes that all three of those conditions may begin in the exact same place. Damaged DNA. Every single day, your body is under attack. Pollution, sugar, stress, processed food, even poor sleep. Tiny injuries form inside your cells constantly, and over time, those injuries silently accumulate until your body no longer functions the way it once did. Energy drops, memory weakens, skin ages faster, inflammation spreads quietly through blood, vessels, joints, and organs. And most people assume this decline is simply part of getting older. But what if that belief is completely wrong? What if your body still has the ability to repair itself far more powerfully than you've ever been told? Recent research is shocking scientists because one simple food, something inexpensive sitting in grocery stores right now, appears to help the body protect damaged DNA while simultaneously lowering dangerous inflammation levels. And no, it's not an exotic supplement or some expensive anti-aging drug. It's a fruit most people completely overlook. I'm Dr. William Lee, and for decades I've studied how foods interact with the body at the cellular level. What researchers are now discovering is that certain natural compounds can activate the body's own defense systems in ways that sound almost unbelievable. In one study, eating just one kiwi per day helped them reduce measurable DNA damage by nearly 60%. 3 kiwis daily help support actual DNA repair inside the body. Think about that for a moment. Not masking symptoms, not temporarily boosting energy. Supporting repair at the genetic level. And the story becomes even more fascinating when you understand what inflammation is really doing inside your body. Chronic inflammation acts like a silent fire. You may not feel it, but over years it slowly damages tissues, weakens immunity, accelerates aging, and creates an environment where disease can thrive. That's why the food we're about to discuss today is so important, because it appears to target both problems at the same time. And honestly, the most surprising part isn't just what this food does. It's how quickly your body can begin responding once you start eating it consistently. By the end of this video, you'll understand why some scientists now believe food may be one of the most powerful biological signals your body receives every single day. Most people think inflammation is obvious. They imagine swollen joints, painful muscles, or redness they can actually see. But the most dangerous inflammation in the human body is it can quietly exist for years inside your arteries, your digestive system, even your brain, slowly damaging cells day after day without triggering any warning signs strong enough to send you to a doctor. And by the time symptoms finally appear, the biological damage has often been building for decades. This is exactly why researchers have become so interested in foods that naturally calm inflammation before it spirals out of control. And one of the most fascinating discoveries involves something many people already have sitting in their refrigerator right now: blueberries. Blueberries contain natural compounds called anthocyanins. These are the pigments responsible for their deep blue color. But inside the body, they behave almost like microscopic bodyguards. Scientists have discovered that anthocyanins help regulate immune activity while simultaneously lowering inflammatory stress throughout the body. That combination is incredibly rare because many substances that stimulate the immune system can accidentally increase inflammation as well. Blueberries appear to do the opposite. They strengthen defense while calming destructive inflammatory activity at the same time. And the numbers behind this research are remarkable. Studies have shown that eating approximately 1.5 cups of blueberries per day can increase T-cell activity by nearly 88%. T-cells are among the most important soldiers in your immune system. They help identify abnormal cells, fight infections, and support the body's surveillance system against disease. Athletes who regularly consume blueberries often maintain stronger immune resilience even under extreme physical stress, which is one reason researchers sometimes describe blueberries not as performance enhancers, but as performance protectors. But here's where this story becomes deeply personal for millions of older adults. After the age of 60, chronic inflammation tends to rise dramatically. Scientists sometimes call this inflammaging, a low-grade inflammatory state linked to accelerated aging, memory decline, cardiovascular disease, arthritis, diabetes, and even certain cancers. Many people assume feeling constantly tired, foggy, or stiff is simply part of aging, when in reality their body may be trapped in a non-stop inflammatory cycle. I remember hearing from a retired teacher named Carol, age 72, who described it perfectly. She said she woke up every morning feeling like her body had spent the entire night fighting something invisible. Daily, she noticed something unexpected. It wasn't just her energy improving. She said her mind felt clearer, her sleep improved, And for the first time in years, she no longer felt like her body was working against her. And what's astonishing is that blueberries are only the beginning, because scientists are now uncovering foods that may do something
Even more extraordinary, starving dangerous tumors before they ever have the chance to grow.
One of the most terrifying facts in modern medicine is this: tiny cancers may already exist inside the bodies of millions of people without them ever knowing it. In fact, researchers now believe microscopic tumors can begin forming years, sometimes even decades, before they are ever detected on a scan. But here's the fascinating part. A tumor without a blood supply is almost powerless. It cannot grow beyond the size of a ballpoint pen tip. No oxygen, no nutrients, no expansion. It simply remains trapped in a dormant state. The real danger begins the moment new blood vessels start feeding it. Scientists call this angiogenesis, the biological process where blood vessels grow toward tissues that demand nourishment. Normally, angiogenesis is essential for healing and survival. Your body uses it to repair wounds and restore damaged tissue. But cancer cells can hijack this same system for their own survival. Once that happens, a microscopic tumor can grow explosively. Researchers have documented tumors increasing up to 16,000 times in size within only 2 weeks after securing a blood supply. That's how aggressive this process can become. And this is where the story takes an astonishing turn. For years, scientists focused on creating expensive pharmaceutical drugs designed to block angiogenesis and essentially starve tumors. Some of these treatments are now standard tools in cancer therapy. But during laboratory testing, researchers made a discovery nobody expected. Certain natural foods appeared capable of interfering with the exact same pathways. One of the first breakthroughs came from green tea. Researchers studying cancer blood vessel formation introduced green tea compounds into laboratory angiogenesis models, and the results were so dramatic that some technicians reportedly assumed they were testing a pharmaceutical drug. The active compounds in green tea, particularly EGCG polyphenols, showed powerful anti-angiogenic effects capable of disrupting the blood vessel networks tumors rely on for growth. And green tea wasn't the only surprise. Resveratrol found in red wine demonstrated similar anti-angiogenic behavior. Tomatoes rich in lycopene showed protective effects against oxidative stress linked to tumor development. Even soy, a food surrounded by years of fear and misinformation, produced shocking results. Scientists discovered that soy phytoestrogens do not behave like harmful human estrogen the way many people assume. Structurally, they are entirely different. In fact, certain soy compounds may actually block estrogen activity associated with breast cancer growth while simultaneously interfering with tumor blood vessel formation. Think about how extraordinary this really is. Many people spend years believing disease prevention depends entirely on medications, procedures, or genetics, while completely overlooking the biological power of everyday. Yet researchers are increasingly realizing that food contains signaling compounds capable of influencing inflammation, immunity, blood vessel behavior, oxidative stress, and even cellular survival pathways. I once heard an oncologist describe it this way. He said medicine often enters the battle after disease has already gained territory. But nutrition influences the battlefield long before the war fully begins. And what scientists discovered next may be even more powerful than starving cancer. The next food appears capable of dramatically supercharging the immune system that protects you every single day. Most people think their immune system naturally becomes weaker with age and that there's very little they can do about it. They expect more infections, slower recovery, lower energy, and increasing inflammation as simply part of getting older. Scientists are beginning to challenge that entire assumption. What researchers are now discovering is that certain foods may help reactivate critical parts of the immune system even later in life. And one of the most surprising examples comes from an ordinary vegetable sitting in grocery stores everywhere. Broccoli. I know broccoli probably doesn't sound exciting. In fact, many people spent their childhood trying to avoid it. But inside broccoli exists a powerful family of compounds called sulforaphanes, natural plant chemicals that scientists now believe may play an extraordinary role in immune regulation, detoxification, inflammation control, and cellular protection. What makes sulforaphane so fascinating is that it appears to activate some of the body's most important defensive pathways at the genetic level. Researchers have discovered that sulforaphane can switch on protective enzymes responsible for neutralizing oxidative stress, the same cellular stress strongly associated with aging, inflammation, DNA damage, and chronic disease progression. In simple terms, it helps the body defend itself more efficiently against the biological wear and tear that accumulates over decades. And the numbers behind this research are stunning. Studies have shown that eating broccoli can significantly increase T cell activity, strengthening some of the immune system's most important defenders. Here's the shocking part. Mature broccoli is actually not the most powerful version. Tiny broccoli sprouts, harvested only 3 to 4 days after germination, contain up to 100 times more sulforaphane than fully grown broccoli. 100 times more. Scientists studying vaccine responses in healthy adults made a remarkable discovery. Participants who consumed broccoli sprout shakes after receiving a flu vaccine experienced dramatically amplified immune responses. In some cases, immune activation increased more than 20 times compared to normal baseline levels. Researchers were astonished that a simple food could influence immune signaling so powerfully without triggering dangerous inflammatory side effects. There's another detail most people have no idea about. Many people throw away the broccoli stems while cooking, assuming the tops contain all the nutrients. But researchers found the stems may actually contain nearly twice as much sulforaphane as the florets themselves. In other words, millions of people are discarding one of the most biologically active parts without realizing it. I remember hearing about a man named Robert, age 69, who constantly struggled with fatigue and recurring illnesses after retirement. He described feeling like his body simply couldn't recover anymore. Small infections lingered for weeks, minor stress exhausted him. After gradually changing his diet and consistently adding cruciferous vegetables like broccoli sprouts several times per week, he noticed something unexpected. His energy stabilized. He stopped getting sick as often. Even his morning stiffness improved. What surprised him most was not feeling younger exactly, but feeling resilient again. And that word matters deeply because resilience may be one of the most important predictors of healthy aging. The ability of the body to respond, recover, repair, and defend itself determines far more than most people realize. But the next discovery may be even more surprising, because scientists are now finding that one small fruit may influence not only inflammation and immunity, but the entire bacterial ecosystem living inside your gut overnight. Most people think their digestive system exists for one simple purpose: processing food. Modern science is revealing something far more astonishing. Inside your gut lives an enormous ecosystem of trillions of bacteria that may influence nearly every aspect of your health, from inflammation and immunity to mood, metabolism, memory, and even the rate at which your body ages. Researchers now call the gut microbiome one of the most important control centers in the human body. And what's truly incredible is how quickly it can respond to the foods you eat. In fact, scientists have discovered that certain foods can begin changing your gut bacteria composition almost overnight. One of the most fascinating examples is something surprisingly simple: kiwi. Most people think of kiwi as just another fruit, maybe something they occasionally toss into a fruit salad without much thought. But inside that small green fruit exists a remarkable combination of vitamin C, fiber, antioxidants, and bioactive compounds that appear to influence multiple health systems simultaneously. Let's start with the fiber, because this is where the story becomes extraordinary. The beneficial bacteria living inside your gut survive on specific types of fiber known as prebiotics. Without enough prebiotic fiber, healthy bacteria begin to decline, while harmful inflammatory species can start taking over. Unfortunately, many older adults consume far less fiber than their bodies actually need, which may partially explain why inflammation, digestive problems, weakened immunity, and metabolic disorders become increasingly common later in life. Kiwi acts almost like fertilizer for beneficial gut bacteria. Researchers in Singapore studying the microbiome effects of kiwi discovered that even one kiwi consumed regularly could begin shifting gut bacterial populations toward healthier species in an incredibly short period of time. Think about what that means. A simple daily habit may start changing the biological environment inside your body faster than most people realize possible. Kiwi's impact doesn't stop in the gut. It also contains exceptionally high levels of vitamin C, one of the body's most important antioxidants for protecting DNA against oxidative damage. Studies have shown that eating one kiwi per day may reduce measurable DNA damage by approximately 60%. Even more remarkably, consuming 3 kiwis daily appeared to support the body's own DNA repair processes at significant levels. Is an astonishing concept when you truly think about it. Your DNA is the instruction manual for every cell in your body. Over time, inflammation, toxins, stress, poor sleep, and aging constantly attack that genetic material. Scientists now believe accumulated DNA damage plays a central role in aging itself. So the idea that certain foods may help defend and even support repair of that genetic blueprint is transforming how researchers think about nutrition. I remember hearing from a woman named Elaine, age 74, who struggled for years with bloating, fatigue, and constant digestive discomfort. She said she never realized how deeply her gut health affected the rest of her body until she slowly improved her diet and began consistently eating more fiber-rich fruits like kiwi. Within weeks, she noticed her energy improving, her stomach discomfort eased, but what surprised her most was her mental clarity. She said it felt like a fog lifting that she hadn't even realized was there. Scientists are increasingly realizing she may not have imagined any of it because the gut and brain are deeply connected through what researchers now call the gut-brain axis. But there's still one enormous mistake millions of people continue making every single day, and it may be preventing them from fully benefiting from all these powerful foods in the first place. By now, you've probably noticed something important. None of the foods we've talked about today are exotic. They're not hidden in some remote mountain village or locked behind an expensive subscription service. Kiwi, blueberries, broccoli, green tea, these are ordinary foods available to almost everyone. Yet many people still fail to experience the benefits scientists are discovering. Why? Because the biggest dish most people make, Matt, is not what they occasionally eat. Now, it's how they think about health altogether. For decades, nutrition advice has been dominated by restriction. Don't eat this. Avoid that. Cut sugar, eliminate carbs, remove fats, count calories, fear food. Spend Millions of people spend years trapped in cycles of guilt and deprivation, constantly trying to force themselves into diets so strict and joyless that eventually their bodies and minds rebel against them completely. Science increasingly suggests that this strategy often fails long term. Human beings are not biologically wired to thrive under constant deprivation. In fact, researchers studying behavior and habit formation have repeatedly found that the more aggressively people restrict themselves, the more likely they are to eventually abandon healthy routines altogether. The brain begins perceiving the diet itself as a threat, cravings intensify, motivation collapses, and people end up feeling like failures when the real problem was the strategy itself. Dr. William Lee approaches health very differently. Instead of obsessing over what to remove, Twee encourages people to focus first on what they can add. Add foods that strengthen the body. Add compounds that support immunity. Add fiber that feeds the microbiome. Add antioxidants that protect DNA. Nutrients that calm inflammation and help the body repair itself naturally. Psychologically, that shift changes everything. Because when people stop feeling punished by food, healthy choices become sustainable instead of exhausting. You no longer feel trapped in a battle against your own body. Instead, you begin working with it. I remember hearing from a man named Thomas, age 71, who spent nearly 20 years bouncing between extreme diets. One month he eliminated all carbohydrates. Another month he avoided fats entirely. Came juice cleanses, fasting trends, supplement stacks, and endless cycles of frustration. He said every plan worked briefly before eventually collapsing under the weight of exhaustion and cravings. But what finally changed his health wasn't another strict diet. It was simplicity. He stopped trying to become perfect and started focusing on consistency instead. He gradually added more anti-inflammatory foods, more fiber-rich vegetables, more berries, more healthy proteins, and fewer ultra-processed meals. Slowly, his energy stabilized, his blood pressure improved, his digestion changed. Perhaps most importantly, he no longer felt emotionally trapped by food. It may sound simple, but biologically it's incredibly powerful. Because your body already contains sophisticated defense systems designed to protect and repair you every single day. As scientists now describe at least 5 major health defense networks constantly working behind the scenes: immunity, angiogenesis control, microbiome balance, stem cell regeneration, and DNA protection. These systems never stop communicating with each other. And the foods you eat directly influence how effectively they function. It means every meal becomes more than calories. It becomes biological information. And the most hopeful discovery of all may be this: your body does not suddenly lose its ability to heal after 60, 70, or even 80. In many cases, it may simply be waiting for the right signals to begin responding again. If there's one thing I hope you remember from today, it's this: your body is not broken simply because you've gotten older. For years, many people were taught that aging automatically means decline, weakness, and inevitable disease. But modern science is painting a hopeful picture. Researchers are discovering that the human body retains extraordinary repair mechanisms far later into life than anyone once believed possible. Your immune system can still strengthen, your microbiome can still change, inflammation can still calm down. Even damaged DNA may still receive support for repair when your body is given the right biological tools consistently over time. That changes the entire conversation around aging because the goal is not perfection. It's not becoming 25 again. It's preserving vitality, clarity, resilience, and independence for as long as possible. The foods you eat every day are constantly sending signals in your body. Some signals increase inflammation, accelerate aging, and weaken your defenses. Others is activate repair, protection, and healing pathways that scientists are only now beginning to fully understand. That's why small choices matter more than dramatic ones. A kiwi, a bowl of blueberries, broccoli sprouts, green tea. These may seem insignificant in a single moment, but over months and years, they become biological instructions shaping the environment inside your body every single day. Perhaps the most powerful truth of all is this: your body is listening to those signals right now. The question is whether you are feeding disease or feeding your body's ability to fight back against it.